Well, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you now, universities in the UK are full of some of the most woke people you will ever, and I mean ever, come across. Trust me. Massive understatement. Crazy part is, a lot of people still don't know what state we're in. I think these last couple of years, more and more people have started to realize, yeah, you know what? Society has definitely taken the wrong directions and we should put the brakes on ASAP and reverse backwards. But so many people are just unaware of how big the problem is and how bad it is getting. And in this episode today, we're going to be reacting to a video that was posted by Turning Point UK from around a year ago, where they go to Sussex University and ask students some very interesting questions. And it, you know, kind of gives people an insight into where England is definitely heading. Help us, please. But before we get into it, if you could, make sure to leave a like rating, as it really helps out the video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this.
Yeah, so I'm non-binary and I use he, they pronouns. So I've like gone a lot with like the whole like pronoun journey.
Gender's a social construct, it doesn't exist.
I use they, them pronouns.
What does they, them mean? Again, explain it to me.
Well, I identify as non-binary, so it's not man or woman or either ends of the spectrum. It's somewhere in between or nowhere.
Back at Sussex University, one of Britain's wokest universities, to ask students questions, all things pronouns and gender related. Let's see what they have to say. What age should someone be allowed to get surgery and transition fully?
I think the easy answer is 16 to 18.
What, so if it's could a 12-year, would you be comfortable with a 12-year-old getting surgery, for example, or a 14-year-old?
Well, it's not my place to really like get in the way of telling, you know, what a 14-year-old or something should do. But I think that if they think that, you know, they want this, then they should be allowed to have it.
Prime example of me saying how woke these people are. We really do need some help, don't we?
But it's interesting you mentioned 16. For you, that seems like an age where underneath that, you wouldn't be happy about the idea of someone, if it was available to them.
Maybe. I mean, maybe like a year or two after maybe thinking about it or contemplating starts. So like 7 or 8 if they're like 10, 11, 12. If it's like this is a through line and it's been giving them maybe issues with mental health, like if it's like this is a recurring theme, then maybe pursue that.
Sure.
Because it's just a different form of therapy.
If I was to say to you how many genders are there, what would you say?
I'd say that there's definitely more than 2. I think it's far more complicated and personal.
This boy needs help. Get him out of this university, send him to a proper one, because boy, I'm embarrassed right now, I am.
Sort of like set of things, then you can be easily even put to a number. Really.
Sure, okay. How many genders are there then?
An infinite amount.
Infinite amount.
So, do you want
As
to?
many as you want.
Yeah, like
You just talk to the person and find out
Yeah.
what they feel. I think it
Oh,
needs to have-
so what?
I think it needs to have,
Limitless.
like, a binary number, because like when you bring in things like he, they, that's just like it's more like your expression of yourself. It doesn't have to be like a number. I think that's
Yeah,
kind of
like gender's very like
outdated.
yeah, gender's outdated, and there's also like a lot of different like things you can put in within gender, because there's like gender, like identity, expression, and then pronouns and gender doesn't have to be like, aligned. It's all very different.
We're only 2 minutes in and I don't even know what to say. I am actually quite speechless. These are the people in a few years' time going into the workforce. Maybe they want to be teachers.
No! God, please, no!
You just always know, if you come across somebody who has that haircut, dressed like that, you know what answer you're gonna get. I mean, they've got so many. They've got so many badges on as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of social justice movement on there. They've got to let everybody know.
So, and also the only real person who needs to know a person's gender is themselves. Like, because it's a very like personal thing and a very like a thing that people will express or want to keep private. So I think like there's like 2 sexes, there's like male and female.
Sure.
But gender, there's as many as people want there to be.
I have a few friends who identify with a variety of different genders. I think it's less of a sort of... It's more of an identity thing rather than any amount of how many it is. I'm sure there are many that I don't know of, and many that I do. So...
But there's more than 2.
Yes, I would say so. There's 2 biological sexes. I think gender is a matter of spectrum. And
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I personally believe that gender is a social construct, people can use whatever pronouns that make them feel comfortable, basically.
So gender and sex are two different things?
Yes, I believe, at least personally.
Sure, okay, fine. So how do you identify then?
I identify, I'm not really sure.
Sure, so okay, that's
Still figuring it out.
I'm trying to get my head around the language. If you're a trans woman, so that means that you've transitioned. So you were a cis male, I think that's the language, and you're now a trans woman, and the feminists say you should not be allowed to use a female bathroom. So it's all very well talking about ideas, and I like that. But in terms of practical application in some of these areas that are more about the LGBTQ plus community, what are your thoughts as a female who identifies as a female? What do you think about trans women, I think that's the right term, using female bathroom?
I think it's fine.
Lord, boy, what? We have a woman here who is saying that men should be allowed to go into women's bathrooms. I mean, you could already tell what answer she was going to give with the colour of her hair, but we have a woman here who wants to erode women's rights, women's private spaces, and she's going to claim to be a feminist as well.
I think that people can use whatever bathrooms they want.
What about the feminists who say that there's a safeguarding issue there? That's what generally speaking, the feminists now are talking about safeguarding issues.
I wouldn't really call them feminists if they're like not including trans women in their agenda.
Because trans women are women?
Yes.
And is that your personal belief?
Yes.
And trans men are trans men are men?
Yeah. If they identify as that, or they might identify as like non-binary or whatever. But yeah, whatever they identify as.
That's like the purpose of the bathroom. You just walk in and anyone could be in there. It's gender neutral. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so at the other end, what if I tomorrow morning dress up as I look right now, but I get into a dress, heels, whatever, and I walk into a female bathroom? Is that okay?
I feel like this is quite like a very like complicated and loaded question to ask someone. Like,
is it?
I don't really have the exact answer.
Well, just your thoughts, because that's what.
Because he knows his answer is stupid. That's why.
That actually there's a big problem there, but the trans community says there's no problem. So it's about getting your own opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think that trans women should obviously be allowed to go into female toilets. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's quite a hot topic.
It's a difficult question, but I think it's a completely legitimate one for people that say that there are many different genders and we should address with pronouns. So, for example, let's just say that as I look today, tomorrow I go into a female bathroom and I'm dressed in a certain way, and someone says, "Oi, mate," or "Oi, sir," you can't go in there, or whatever. So it's not just about pronouns and about asking people how many genders there are. It's about the practical application. So fundamentally, in terms of the trans movement and bathrooms, is it the case that a trans woman is that the correct? That they should be allowed to use female bathrooms?
They should be allowed to use women's bathrooms, yes. Sex and gender aren't inextricably linked. They aren't linked at all, really. Gender is a social construct. It doesn't exist. It's about making sure that people are safe because, trans women face misogyny too. They face exponential amounts of violence. It doesn't have any implication on which bathroom people go to. People say it's a women's safeguarding issue. I am absolutely a feminist, but I do not see this as a women's safeguarding issue. You do not have security guards standing at the doors to gendered toilets saying, "Let's see your genitals."
Right, I'm gonna have to pause it there. She just said, or he, I don't know. This individual just said that trans women face misogyny. So, hold on a second. Men identifying as women, let's say, because they would agree with it, going into women's sports and taking places awards away from women, money, etc., opportunities, they'd also be okay with that. Yet, a regular dude, when he gets an opportunity ahead of a woman, that is misogyny. What's the difference here? Do these people not hear themselves when they come out with these arguments? And again, most of them claim to be feminists. It is the most insane way of thinking ever.
The fear very much seems to be about cisgender men dressing up as trans women and causing attacks and harms.
A guy like me dresses up, tomorrow morning I wake up, looking at the way I do, and I put a dress on and I start going into female bathrooms because of how I identify, which obviously links to pronouns. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a really good question. I think it can be quite an easy way for a man who wants to assert some dominance, who disagrees with the whole pronoun situation, to waltz into a female bathroom with a dress on and say, "I'm allowed to be here." But I think that is a small minority. Yeah, it's going to make people uncomfortable. I don't think that would affect me as much. Obviously, I don't go into women's bathrooms either as wearing a dress or as born as a woman.
On that then, right, tough question. What of that of a 6-year-old saying to mum and dad, what you're saying is that I identify or I feel as XYZ. What should the parent do? What's your advice? Nice and broad, could be anything, but they say something along those lines.
I mean, I just think listen to them, do what they choose. Like, I know there's obviously permanent things you can do with transgender stuff, but maybe just support them until they're old enough that the parents are happy for them to make permanent decisions. But until then, just listen and be open.
Yeah, definitely. Even from the start, just make it a place where they feel like they can come to you with those questions, and make it a space where you're not labeling them as definitely a boy, definitely a girl, or definitely gay, definitely straight. Just make it an inclusive place where if they are thinking that, then you just be yeah, I hear you, I see you. Do you want a different pronoun, different name? How can we support you in this? And it's see, because children are ever changing, ever growing. Same with adults, people change, people experience different things and go, oh, actually I want to be this or this. So really just be open and listen to them.
So a lot of times it's just we'll try different clothes, we'll try a different haircut, we'll see if we like it. If you really hate it, there's no harm, no foul.
So obviously just good parenting 101, listen to the child, ask them how they're thinking, feeling, but equally if a child came home and said, just to be devil's advocate for the audience, if a child came home and said, I want to start drinking vodka straight from the bottle...
No, you say no, that's too dangerous, you're too young.
It's it's important to just be there for your kids rather than try and impose something on them. You can obviously let them know how you're feeling, but respectfully be able to listen to what they are trying to express to you and not coax anything that you want to hear back out of them.
So what would your advice be to parents where a son comes home and starts saying things like, oh, I think I might be female, or am I a woman, or whatever?
I think there's a level of exploring. Obviously, you've got to be aware of age, but the parent is realistically in control until they're sort of early teens, I'd say, and then it sort of becomes an increasingly balanced relationship to a more 50-50 thing and a more independent thing for the child as they get 18. So earlier on, it's sort of, okay, you feel this way, let's talk about it. But I make the final decision as the parent. And then it moves into, if you want to wear a dress, that's your thing. Let me support you in that.
Well, yeah, I'd say be supportive of your child and, try and talk through, their development. But also your child will know, who they are and stuff. I think the encouragement to be open with your growth as a person is really important. I think that, I don't know, sometimes it can be pushed down, and that can lead to some really difficult times when you're repressing who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just, people have referred to me as she, and I've been oh, not she, it's they. And then
so it is a they.
Sorry, I didn't know. I'm trying to do so much better. And at the end of the day, you're then putting the onus on trans people for taking the responsibility for your mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. That's why we're correcting you, so you can do better and move on. But you're putting trans people in a really uncomfortable position when you make them try to make you feel better or alleviate any guilt.
So uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable time. It is, forced language. You must do this, you must do that. We're correcting you so you can do better. Have you noticed when they're talking about, parents and their children, and, their child might come home and say, I might feel like I'm like this. They all say, listen to the child, listen to the concerns, but they would all be against the parents who want to help the child in a way that they would not like. Ask them, well, why? How did you reach this point? What are you listening to? Who's been talking to you? Instead, they want the parent to reaffirm what the child is going through. They want them to reaffirm them with a new name, new pronouns. And then if a parent didn't want to do that, boy, these people would be going insane.
I think it is about being patient with people, but also we're not just going to be patient for anyone, because you need to actually be making an effort. These are new things and they do take time to learn, but you actually have to be putting in the effort. You can't just expect trans people to forgive you wherever you go.
Pronouns, should we all be using them? To a layman person, how does it work? Should we be using them, and what are they?
I mean, we should all be using them. I mean, unless you don't want to use them, but like that would be an identity on its own.
Today is International Pronoun Day, apparently anyway. So I've been told. If I'm wrong on that, then is it? Okay.
So all my badges, they're all like personal to me and my symbolism, and I have a lot of different flags.
I told you about the badges, man. I told you. Social justice movements everywhere, pronouns, they have to let everybody know.
So this is just the classic transgender flag.
Right.
So anyone who doesn't identify with the gender that was assigned at birth.
I know that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then this is the non-binary one, which is the one I use. So that's for anyone who, again, isn't a man or a woman, whether that's a trans woman or a trans man.
Yeah.
And then... yeah, and then this, where's the, and this is the progress flag. So this is the normal, the gay flag that everyone knows, like the rainbow.
Some of them I know, yeah. That's
yeah,
great.
and then this is the progress one. So again, it's just the typical rainbow that Gilbert Baker created in the early 2000s. And then this is the progress one, which was created, I think, 2020 by a black woman of colour. And the white, blue and pink show the transgender people in the community, and the brown and black show the people of colour in the community.
And then there's Superman and Batman, and they seem to be kissing.
They're gay,
They're engaging in a warm embrace.
Of course, yeah. I love all my badges kind of like show to other people like the values that I have and like the inclusion I have. So I have like loads of ones which talk about like obviously refugees are welcome, and like the gay community, the trans community. I have like ones about like sustainability, all of that, just to show people that like I'm like an inclusive person and like this is who I am, and like you can express yourself however you need to be.
Yeah, well I have to ask because I've not seen that before. Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a great day.
Have a great day.
Sure. So generally speaking, if let's talk about you as the individual. If someone, so for me, you're a female, but that might offend somebody who was non-binary. Is that correct? I'm learning as I go.
Well, I present as a female and I identify as a female, so that's fine to me. Obviously, if you assume someone else's gender and they are not identifying as that gender, that would offend them. So usually I would just not assume at all.
I mean, I'm thankful the video ended there because I didn't know how much more of that I can take. As I said at the beginning of this video, some of the most woke people you will ever come across, and that is an understatement. Look, man, I don't know what they're teaching at these universities either. I don't know what agendas they stand by and what they stand for, but you can just tell how inclusive they all are, and boy, oh boy, this does not look good. It really does not. So if you ever thought about coming to the UK, to a university, I hope I did a great job of selling that to you. Some of these people genuinely do need help, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but you can just tell something's not quite right. You know, with the amount of badges, for example, this person has, the amount of validation this person needs, and then somebody doesn't give that validation, is incorrect with one of the badges, that's it. Meltdown. How did you find this video, ladies and gentlemen? What are your thoughts on these students? Do you think England is in safe hands? Again, man, I shouldn't be laughing because this is actually very concerning, but I'd like to know, if you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace. Oh my word, I didn't expect it to be that bad. I really did not.